I'm Paul Humphreys, a management analyst in the Division of Emergency Management Grants section. Thank you for joining me in this brief demonstration of how to apply for any of our grants in Zoom Grants. Zoom Grants is the management system we use to manage applications and then the pre-award and the award process and onward. To begin, you'll have received a link from us for the grant program in question. When you click on that link, you'll get to a screen much like the one you're looking at now, and you'll either at that point need to sign in if you have a Zoom Grants account or use the new Zoom Grants account button to create one. In my case, I have one, so I'm going to log in. Once I log in, then in this case, you're going to see the Federal Fiscal Year 2025 Homeland Security Grant Program application. I picked this one because it's representative of all of ours. Each of the grant applications functions like this one, although a few of the grant programs might have a couple extra steps in the application process. Those extra steps are really intuitive and kind of just follows along with the process you're about to see. So in this case, for now, I'm using HSGP, Homeland Security Grant Program, as a very representative sample. Once you get into the application, the top is an overview of the grant program. It's set to default to open up and show you that overview when you log on. If you want to hide it, you can click this hide this button and this description will go away. The next section are resource documents. You'll need these as you do your application, so it's a good resource to be aware of. You'll come back to this as you move on. And then another thing to notice is Zoom Grants operates in these tabs kind of arrangement. It basically chunks the application into sections viewable through the various tabs. So we'll work through those. And then there's kind of a summary of what your application would look like. But we're going to go ahead and click Apply Now, Start Application. And we'll begin. There's the description we saw. There's the resource documents we saw. And now we're going to start working through the various tabs. The first one, we'll go to Pre-Application. It asks some questions. The pre-application tab has to be done first. So just work through these questions. And then when you're done, you would click Next. Now, something to note is as you move from field to field in Zoom Grants automatically saves your work. It'll save your work when you move from one item to another. And you might see the screen do a momentary flash along the way. That's also an indication that your work has been saved. The one last thing to note down here at the bottom is the application ID. It's a 6-digit number. If you ever need to call Zoom Grants Help Desk through the Help button in the application, it'll give you the contact information. If you ever need to call Zoom Grants Help Desk to work with the application, they'll need that application ID. So it's good to note. So there's the various things there. Let me see if it'll let me click Next. It does. So then the next thing is these application questions. And just like the previous section, go ahead and answer all of those. It asks for different parameters about the application, different fields to fill out. As you do this, if you have questions, let me back up to the resource documents. If you have questions, a very good source of information back at the front page in this resource document section, the Notice of Funding Opportunity document really explains everything you need to know about the grant application. So it's a terrific resource. We did the pre-application. We did the application questions. The next section we ask you to do is the line item detail budget, this tab. That's the third section to do. So when you do the line item detail budget, What it asks you to do is to enter your budget information for your intentions for how you're going to run your grant. At this point, what we ask for is a budget to capture the expenses that you're going to execute using federal funds. So you go through and enter those planned expenditures as a budget into this screen here. The entries are organized by this POETI category. POETI stands for planning, organization, equipment, training, and exercise. And then there's another category on the bottom as well, but that's POETI. Let me scroll back to the top. I hope I'm not scrolling too fast. Close your eyes for a second if it's too fast. So now we're back at the top. So you enter each row of data in your budget. As you enter the item name, a description, the quantity of those items, a unit cost for those items, the total, basically doing the math from quantity and unit cost, the total will calculate when you refresh your page. If, for example, it doesn't recalculate when you refresh your page, at that point, just log out of Zoom Grants, log back in, and it'll work. But 99% of the time, unless there's some minor hiccup, the math will execute once you refresh your page. Go through and enter all your budget. You'll find there are about 12 rows available for each of those POETI categories. If you need more than 12, unfortunately, we have to ask you to kind of combine your rows a bit because 12 is really the most we can get into the application at this point. So so there's the 12. That's pretty much the normal thing that we can't get more than 12. There is one minor thing we might be able to do to get one extra row, but ordinarily just fit it into the 12. And once you have your budget in there, and you enter each item, all those items in there, you'll find that each section has a subtotal. Like in this case, we're looking at the organization categories subtotal. Once you have your budget completely entered, we ask you to take those subtotals and enter them into the category budget totals tab. So when I click that, you'll simply see the POETI categories again, and a place for you to enter the totals from the previous tab. It's unfortunate that there's that manual step to transfer the totals manually from the line item detail budget to the category budget totals. That's just a hiccup that really was unavoidable because the way Zoom Grants is configured for us, because of how we've set it up, your budget, once you have an award, any change requests you make to your budget, and further down the road when you start submitting quarterly financial reports to get reimbursed from us, all those pieces will talk together and give us a concise balance and function in a coordinated way because of how we've set that up. To achieve that integration, we had to have this small manual step where you transfer stuff from the line item detail budget to the category budget totals. The last step is this document upload tab, and it'll ask for different documents that you may have, a single audit, your travel policy, your payroll policy, your procurement policy, a document to discuss your project milestones. So we'll ask for those different documents to be uploaded. At the very end, you'll see a button to allow you to submit your application. Now, there's one thing to note as far as submitting your application. Way back at the beginning, let me see if it's in the summary section. If we go down to the bottom of that beginning tab, summary section, all the way out on the end here, the summary tab, you'll see a place where you can enter collaborators. You can put in an email address, first name, last name, this contact information for a collaborator. A collaborator is someone who can help you with your grant application, but they do not have the authority to submit it. Only the owner of the application, the person who owns that particular Zoom Grants account, that person can actually submit on behalf of your agency. Collaborators can't submit, but they can edit, they can work on your application. Um, they're useful in that way. The last thing here is additional contacts. You can list some additional contacts as well. Say add additional contact, and then there's a field out here to put an email address. Additional contacts are people maybe in your agency whom you would like to be able to see your application, but they can't edit it, and they most certainly can't submit it either, but they can look at it. So additional contacts can look at it, collaborators can edit, and the application owner can do everything, including submit it. I hope that helps answer any questions you might have about a basic application in Zoom Grants. And we here in the division are very happy to help in any way we can if you have questions.